Sometimes I'll explicitly ask them to do something like clean the room and they won't do it. And I'll ask, like 30 times, and it won't be done. So there's that too. Remember, parenting. Hey there, guys. Welcome back to the channel. And we have a good one today in case you have ever wanted to get your kids to do chores, to have it not be a chore, right? It's right in the language, to not have to have it be a point of dissension, but to use chores to build a stronger family unit. That's what we're going to talk about today. If we haven't met, my name is Jesse, and I have tools and strategies to help parents of young children to build a family unit, to decrease their parenting guilt, tell that voice in your head to shut up. And I use my over 20 years of teaching experience to give you ideas and strategies and tactics to help make that possible. So let's get into it. I have a parent who wrote about getting their kids to do chores. Let's take a look. How can I get my children to do more chores without making it feel like a punishment? First of all, I love your approach to this question. I love your approach to this topic because so many parents have the attitude like, my kids don't help. They don't help around the house. How do I get them to help? Why am I the only one to do this and all of this? And another thing that I love is that you're starting from these early ages. That's beautiful. So let's help you out here. And anyone else who's in a similar situation. My kids are 8 and 11. Their chores are to clean up after themselves, clean the rooms, bathroom, playroom, put away the laundry, take care of the dog, and take out the trash, occasionally sweep common areas. My husband and I also help out with the trash and sweeping. Obviously, I would hope so. If not, then it probably doesn't get done. They don't do all the chores every day, and then rarely it's a set schedule. I just tell them to do it. Okay, we're gonna look at that a little bit later. They really only take care of the dog without being asked to. Awesome. That's a win. Celebrate that. The first thing, I guess, before we even finish the question, do more of that. Celebrate small wins. The more we can celebrate small wins. I just shared in a group about a small win that I had with my son. We've been working on his communication and not yelling demands and things. And the other night he said, Daddy, can I have the mirror, please? And we celebrated that. It's a little thing, but if we celebrate these little things and put our attention and energy on those, more of those little things will happen and they'll turn into big things. So that's amazing. Celebrate. He takes care of the dog without being asked to. And something I would say, take out this only. They take out, see how that sounds? See how that sounds to you if I was talking about you in doing this. Option one, they really only take care of the dog without being asked to. What if I said that about you compared to they take care of the dog without being asked to? Right? It just feels different. And that's where it's going to start. A little spoiler, I'm going to give you 3 steps to work out and test. And then I'm going to give you a bonus idea at the end. But work with our own verbiage, our own vocabulary, how we present these, right? They take care of the dog without being asked to. Celebrate that. That's a win. Everything else needs a reminder. They act like it's the worst thing ever to do the chores, and I don't think they have enough chores. Okay, so let's start with your question here. It seems a little incongruent because the first sentence, without making it feel like a punishment, did not feel in alignment with the last sentence, and I don't think they have enough chores. They act like it's the worst thing to do these chores, and I don't think they have enough, right? So those messages seem incongruent. The first thing actually is not related to your kids at all, and it's not really related to the chores at all. The first thing is to look within myself, to look at the way my attitude towards doing chores, to look at how I communicate, how these chores need to be done, and the words that I use, the tone that I use, what's my attitude when doing these chores. Now, my kids are 6 and 8, and we share an 8-year-old in this case. Well, we don't share the 8-year-old, but they have an 8-year-old and I have an 8-year-old. And my kids help out. We don't have a chores list either. And I ask them to do a couple things, but what happens more often is I will start doing something and then my kids will ask to help. They'll ask to take the broom. They'll ask to take, to clean the bathroom if I'm doing it. Sometimes. Now, that's not all the time, but it's sometimes. And the important thing is to take those times and, many parents would either say, no, I can do it. Or, no, I'll do it because I do everything. Or, no, I'll do it. Thanks. You continue to do whatever, right? But really, this is an opportunity to teach them the value of helping out. It's to teach them the value of themselves for asking, and it's not a burden for them, because if I think that it's a burden to them, I said, no, that's okay. You relax. Like, what's that saying? That's saying these chores are not relaxing. That's saying these chores are not fun, right? So first, take a look at how you are seeing these chores and how you're communicating doing these chores and how we're communicating these chores to be done. It's important to note, like I said before, my kids don't always ask to help, but sometimes they will start cleaning something without being asked. And here's an important thing too. Sometimes I'll explicitly ask them to do something like clean the room and they won't do it. And I'll ask, like 30 times and it won't be done. So there's that too. Remember, parenting is a long-term game. It's little micro incremental improvements that we're looking at the progress and we're looking at improvement in the process, not a magical final result, right? So anything that or any other advice that you get in Facebook groups or anything, remember, these are to get incremental results, these incremental growth, rather than a magic pill. That's important. But going back to my attitude towards chores, think about it. If I ask you to do something, but while I'm doing it, it's a burden for me, it's annoying, I'm stressed out when doing it. Whenever I'm doing it, I'm yelling at the kids for not helping me. If I have to sacrifice doing something else to do these chores, they're a burden. They are heavy to do. It's annoying. Does that sound like something that you would be excited to join me in doing? Right? So that's why it's so important to be mindful of the attitude that I have when doing these chores, right? So a few things that you can do to improve your attitude in doing chores is actually the same as point number 3. What I'm going to get into is gamify it. So gamify it for yourself. See how well you can do this. Imagine if you have to sweep the floor rather than doing it grumbling and complaining. Why do I have to do that? Oh, I can't wait to get this over with so I can do another chore, which is inevitably waiting for you, right? What if you settled into whatever you're doing and see either how fast you can do it, see how well you can do it, and really settle into doing a good job with it and getting satisfaction with that within yourself, right? If we can make it so it's enjoyable, then it would be much more inviting to our kids to join us in what it's doing. So that's number 1. Number 2 is just that. Invite them into joining you, right? Once we turn it into an enjoyable activity or a fruitful activity or something that's not burdensome, but something that we are doing as an activity, then we can invite them into joining us rather than telling them to do the chores, right? I love that you mentioned here without making it feel like a punishment. Oftentimes, parents can make it feel like a punishment because that's how it was for us, right? We learn those patterns. This is what we knew growing up. So this is what we are repeating unless we consciously take control and change those patterns. So the first thing is not to make it feel like a punishment for us. And then when we do that, we can turn it into quality time. Quality time is something that all parents want more of. Many times parents don't know how to make quality time, so they turn into like watching a movie together or something, which is cool. But if that's the only quality time there is it that quality? But really, if we turn doing chores together into quality time, meaning use it to gamify the chores, gamify it, meaning do points. Now, with my time as a teacher of all different ages, from little kids all the way to adults, the same thing works. Giving points works. And here's a secret that not many people share: the points don't really have to mean much. You don't have to make this elaborate game with points that you have to think about. And what if they say this? No, just be like, hey, if you do this, you get 5 points. Well, what do the points lead to? Well, we'll find out. Let's see. It'll lead to a prize. Or after they do something, oh, dude, that's an awesome job. 3 points for you. And then once you start adding points, you can figure out what the points lead to after the fact. Whatever, we can decide that. They should lead somewhere, but you don't have to have that chosen now because we don't know what the points actually mean. Something like this, it's just a matter of gamifying it, right? So gamify it. In the act of gamifying, it turns it into quality family time because you can play as well. You can have races to see who finishes first. You can see who did a better job and have an inspector, have another child be an inspector for this job. Maybe have your 8-year-old, in this case, have your 8-year-old be an inspector for the 11-year-old in your competition. Have the 11-year-old be the inspector for the other ones and have like a competition. In doing so, a video that I did earlier in the week talking about how to build a family unit. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, using that principle to bring your kids together. Because if your kid is the judge, we can kind of use our intonation, our words, our actions to have the kids vote for their brother or sister over us. And that way it's building them as a closer team. And we are kind of overseeing that. These are leadership principles, right? We are leading them to a higher purpose. I call this the thing under the thing, right? The thing is the chores. The thing is cleaning the table, cleaning the floors, taking the dogs out, whatever. But the thing under the thing is the family unit. It's the responsibility. It's the building of the character. That's the thing under the thing. And that's what we're looking for, right? So these 3 tips: be mindful of how I see the chores, how I'm doing the chores, and make that cheerful. Do them cheerfully, because guess what? You're doing them anyway, right? So you might as well get extra benefit of it and enjoy them. Number 2, invite them in to do it and turn it into a family time together, turn it into quality time, where you could also start the 11-year-old, you could also start having conversations as you're taking out the trash or cleaning the table or sweeping the floor. When I was in South Korea, you start telling stories. When I was in South Korea, they didn't actually have janitorial services to clean the classrooms. The students actually swept the classrooms. They had time designated that they took turns sweeping the classroom. That's really wild, right? Just sharing stories and inviting them to talk too. And number 3, gamify it. And I'm going to share a bonus tip that will probably help a lot. But before I do that, if you're getting value from this, take a second, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell, because I do these types of parent training videos several times a week. So another thing you can do is get one of those big whiteboards or, a calendar board or some sort of list board, and write out the chores for the week and have them check off when they did something. And then going back to gamify it and counting points, you're like, okay, I saw that. That's 5 points, right? Or that's 3 points, or you did that, but not to the best. So that's only 3 points, right? Something like that. And then at the end of the week, you tally up the points and say, for X amount of points, you get, prize tier number 1. For Y amount of points, you get prize tier number 2. For Z amount of points, you get prize number 3. And you decide what those prizes will be at the end of the week. They could be money, they could be chocolate, they could be choosing a movie, they could be whatever. So there's that. I hope these helped. Awesome job. I know some parents, aren't into giving their kids chores. I think that it is, because to me, it's an opportunity to teach responsibility on a low level, on a low stress level. And it's not really about the chores. Like I said, it's more about the thing under the thing. If you want me to answer a question that you have, then I'll post a link below to my link tree. And on there, you will see an opportunity to fill out a form to ask a question and get one of these videos made for you and your situation, completely anonymous, as you can see here. Or join Conscious Parent Leaders on Facebook and ask a question there. Also, in the pinned comment, you'll see another lesson to help you brush off and manage that family guilt by a 4-character framework that has worked for me and other parents that I've taught it to. It's worked like magic. So check those out. Thank you for writing. Thank you for being you. You're a superstar parent. I'll see you in the next one.